everybody. If you're there, if you're tuning in, hello everybody. Welcome to the second live stream that I'm doing. My name is Jason. I work as a video and graphic artist at EverRise. It's nice to see everybody here in the chat that's already there. I see that TJ's there. EverRise Eats is there too. Can we just double check that everything's coming through okay for you guys? Can you guys hear the stream, see the stream okay? There's no issues. Be much appreciated. Give me some feedback on that. There will be some music playing just in the background. If it's too loud, also let me know, and I'll do my best to get it all equalized and leveled out nicely for you. So today, what we're going to talk about today. So kind of going to have quite a bit of stuff planned over the coming weeks, some exciting stuff, some stuff that you've not seen before. Certainly today, I'm hoping that this is some stuff that you guys are interested in looking at. So I'm going to touch upon the achievement NFTs. Now, the achievement NFTs was a journey, a massive journey for me. I never really came into EverRise with that type of experience of being able to make NFTs. Before joining EverRise, I didn't really know much about NFTs. In fact, I'd probably never heard of them. It was only as I was in EverRise and I was seeing more and more people talking about NFTs that I started to kind of realize that they were collectibles, gaining a lot of popularity. And OpenSea obviously was getting massive. Last summer was just ramping up more. I'm gonna disconnect, aren't I? Am I back? Am I back, guys? Of course, the internet decides to play up right at the moment, so hopefully I'm back. So it was coming to V2 and we were just talking about staking and how we were going to do the staking. And, you know, I was extremely excited when I found out about V2. Some of you guys in the chat will remember the voice chats that we had on Telegram, how I was seeing the contracts, the staking contracts as being like revolutionary and secure way of doing staking with the buyback. And I just remember that Ben from the EverRise team, he messaged me out of the blue and said, "How would you feel about doing NFTs?" And I'll be honest with you, I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I was just like, "Right, okay, I'll have a little think about how these are going to look like and what we were going to do," because we wanted them to be like collectibles, right? We wanted them to be something that the community kind of aimed to go kind of like build up a collection of these different animals. Like originally there was no, like we thought about the Kraken, you know, the buyback, and we wanted to kind of say, right, we've got the Kraken, we can have a whale, we can have a dolphin, we can have a plankton, you know, the common names for, you know, certain wallet holders in DeFi, and you know, and quantities. And, you know, I was just like, right, okay, I'll have a play and I'll come back to you. And like, I'm going to show you some of the early designs in a minute of the NFTs. And, yeah, I want a big shout out to Ben, for kind of just being like, first of all, like there are a few people that you meet that kind of strike you as just not only being massively more intelligent than you are, but have the ability to literally just build anything. Like Ben is just a genius. His background is one day. I'm really sorry guys, but I lost connection again, and I am back now. So yeah, I was kind of saying that Ben was awesome. So, you know, kind of just finishing off on that. Ben is technically brilliant at everything he does. He brings lots of ideas to the table, and he can pretty much you know, execute on any ideas that the company kind of wants to kind of set out and to do. And, you know, big shout out to him really for kind of giving me the ability to kind of take on this task. It was a little bit scary to kind of have the pressure of the NFTs, because, you know, I know that so many holders would be kind of looking to collect them. And Storm, you know, our COO, she's absolutely a rock. She kind of there was a process to making these NFTs, and she was literally squeezing everything out of me, making sure that I was making the best quality artwork for you guys, because you know she's got an eye for detail and we work really well together. Sometimes, you know, sometimes she would see things that I wouldn't see, and without her, who knows, they would have looked a lot different. And I'll show you in a minute exactly how they would have looked. Well, they could have looked. The early iterations of them were very basic. So let me just close down Telegram for a moment, because I'm gonna get the annoying notifications. Right, let's see. Right, so if we switch over screens, so this is so I had a little like a journey when, like I said, I had a journey with these NFTs. It's a massive journey. Like starting off, these are the early designs. So you can look at this now. So early on, I wanted to do something like maybe around the animals, right? So we had the different types of animals, the different types of material that we were going to go for. And like these were like concept works that I was kind of putting together kind of like really quickly. And I was playing around with some textures on the coin. You can see here that I've got the coin, the Kraken, you know, a 3D rotating coin within a card. A lot different to what you guys would now recognize as being an achievement NFT. This is something I threw together really quickly. So the idea behind this was just basically the coins would be different materials and would obviously symbolize the amount via the animal on the back. So on the front it would have the Rise logo, and on the back would have the coin. So the front would have the Rise logo, and on the back would have the animal within the coin. And you see that this was just basically, you know, nowhere near as good as the final product. So that's the first one. And then I switched over, and again I was messing around with textures. And I was thinking, right, well, coins, you know, they're made of metal, so let's go with the metal, and we're gonna maybe go we'd probably go down like different metals. So this is before Storm got involved in the conversation, and I was just like throwing stuff. I'm losing connection. Can't believe I'm losing connection all the time. Like my internet's been good all day long, and all of a sudden I go live and it's gonna disconnect me, but it's fine, I'm back. So you can see here that, yeah, again, the details are very similar to what was on the final card. We wanted to have the collection, the amount, the staking period, the type, and the blockchain. So I think in the end we just took the blockchain off, because we've got the symbol on the card anyway. And then we moved on, we progressed on, and you can see that we went to a 3D card as opposed to a flat 2D card that was rotating. We moved into like a 3D card. So this is getting closer to what we kind of recognize as being the later sort of version of the achievement NFT. You can notice that this was meant to be the gold one, and I was just basically picking some textures that I kind of looked at and using some saber effects on the outer parts of the card to kind of give it a glow and sort of like a mysterious look to it. So yeah, you can see this is like as we move on, some design decisions were made when it came down to the textures, but you can kind of see how it kind of came together. The background is just a star field that's a looping star field, and you know, it was kind of taking shape. But yeah, we move on to what we finally developed into. Now I was, like I said, I found some really awesome textures. And I'll be honest with you, the amount of time that I sat down, and I know that I got Storm in a conversation, lighting, textures, so many discussions over like how these were going to look like in the final products. And you know, I was really glad to find some really awesome texture packs, kind of bring out the bronze. So this is a bronze one, and the light on this is actually a warm light. So some materials, like every single, I need to turn off autosave as well, because that's gonna drive me crazy. So every single NFT, every single achievement NFT has got a completely different lighting environment from each and every one is different. Some of them have got cold light, some of them have got warm light, some are directional, some are more floodlights, and essentially it gives them the uniqueness. Everyone is so unique. So let me just go ahead and turn off autosave, because it's going to really do my head in. Every 5 minutes it's gonna 20 minutes anyway. Let's just read what everyone's saying in the chat. Hey JR, hey Cybermule, hey EverRise Eats, hey Nico, Morpheus, JHW, Blame Kike, hey all of you guys. So yeah, so I had some issues with this. So obviously, as I was building out the file itself, it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There was a lot of like 3D elements that were working together, and we needed to see them in full resolution as we were playing them back. So it used up a lot of memory. And also, I think I had to do 840 NFTs in total. So it was quite a lot of NFTs. So from all the way from Iron all the way down to Rising, we had to kind of work out a way of kind of making it possible to render 840 NFTs with as little input as possible, because it would have taken weeks and it would have taken months potentially to do all 840 to kind of queue them on a render if you were doing every single one individually. So what you see in front of you right now is what I call the master file. I did a master file for every single blockchain. So I did a master file for BSC, a master file for Ethereum, a master file for Polygon, Phantom, AVAX. And essentially within this master file, I had this as the main comp. And on the main comp, I use expressions. If you're not familiar with After Effects, what I basically did was I used some code that when I changed certain elements of the expressions, it would change the text within all of the subsequent compositions. So we've got some pre-comps here. I'll show you a demonstration. So if I changed the dolphin name to say, I don't know, let's go Kraken. I can update the dolphin name to Kraken, and what that will do is it will update on all of the cards within this composition. So you can see it's automatically updated the name on the card to Kraken, and that's all in 3D space via the plugin I'm using. I'll get to that in a moment. And underneath, I could put in the collection name, which would be Kraken, and the amount, which would be 250 million Rise. So if I just wait for that to update, 250 million Rise, give it a few seconds to update. I've still got it on full, so it's going to take a little bit of time. You'll see now that when I update that text at the bottom, it'll update the text on the card. Now, what that does now is that'll update on every single render. So this is the iron render. Give it a second to just load. I've got the bronze render, which you've just seen, the silver render. Again, this used a lot of processing power, a lot of CPU power. So you see here, I got the Kraken. So this was meant to be Dolphin, but I've updated the Kraken on the title and on the card. And you can see that if I go to gold as well, that will also update. So this was something which it took me a little bit of time to work out, because I had to work out how was I going to achieve this in the time that I had available. And I didn't have a lot of time available to do this. And of course, that was with the expressions of the text. I wanted to do it as also with the subcomp for the animal. So the animal, again, if I go into the main comp and I go into the logo, you can see that I've got the Illustrator files that I put together for each and every single animal, and whichever one was selected, you can see now I've got the dolphin selected, if I switched out to the Kraken, it would update the Kraken on every single one. So if I go back into Amber, say this was a dolphin, now it's going to look like a Kraken, and it's going to give me the Kraken design. So this is the Amber NFT. Automatically updates all of the text, the title, and the animal within the window there. So this saved me a lot of time when it came to kind of arranging the rendering. Many hours of rendering. And obviously, if we go into the logo now, see here that we've got all of the different ones here with the outlines. But obviously, with the Kraken, it was slightly different because the Kraken itself had a laser eye, if you remember, had a laser eye. And these animals, they were done via it was actually an ocean that was basically being clipped within the animal. So the effect you see is like a tide coming in. It's just an MP4 of an ocean. I can show you this, how it kind of went together. So this is the inside of the window. You can kind of see that the bubbles I added in kind of just in 3D space. I kind of put some close to the camera, some further away to give a sense of depth as the animal came into play. I also kind of wanted to make the focus be on the animal. So the Rise logo in the background, I made that kind of reduce the opacity of that. So as the creature came into play and focused on, the camera came to focus, the blur reduced. You could see that, exactly what animal it was, and it wasn't competing with the background to try and, take your attention away. So you can kind of see how that came through. If we go into the render here, you see that the effects are essentially like this on the animals, on each and every one. And it's like a distortion. I got a few distortion maps and some blurs, some light effects. The actual footage is this. This is the actual footage that I used. So it's like a water splash footage that I used to kind of put together the animals. So if we go back into the we'll use the Amber one as an example. So the Amber render one here, with the Kraken with the laser eye, I just used a simple effect. I'll find it now.
It looks silky, but it feels woolly. But it's not silk, it's wool. It's woolilky.
This is when I try and find out where things are, where things belong.
So come to IKEA Greenwich and get touchy.
If you've got any questions in the chat, feel free to ask away as well. I like to answer questions. If there's anything that I've said that you don't quite get, feel free to again to ask away.
The collection reimagines timeless.
I'll also explain how I did the NFT frame in a moment as well.
More sustainable materials and circular design.
So the laser itself, let me just have a look. Rising. It was only on the Rising. Yeah. So because it was only the Rising, I think the Rising one here. Here we go. Here we are. So you can see that the actual NFT here is set with the laser eye. Go into the render.
You need to feel for yourself. So come to IKEA Greenwich and get touchy-feely without blankets.
This is the first time I've opened the file since I did it. Did these NFTs. So you got to give me a moment. Particles, NFT, and here we go. The red eye. Here we go. So this is it here. So I used an optical flare actually for this. So the optical flare itself, you could see that as it rotated to the final third of the loop, you could see that the red eye would actually come in. So I think came in the second half. Here we go. Here's the laser eye. So essentially, what I'm doing now is I'm just grabbing the position of the laser and I'm sticking it over the animal's eye to give it the perfect to centralize the effect over the eye. I'm using the pinpointer there to do that, and that's just a simple optical flare using an orange. We didn't want to use red because it didn't kind of work with the Rising design. So you can see how that kind of moves with the card in that 3D space on that rotation plane. Okay, so, and that kind of, the end result gets rendered. And if I was to just scroll over a little bit more, you'll see that that shows up on the final design. Any questions? So this is, yeah, so this is it. Again, I'm using, I think I'm using Saber as the fire effects on the external of the card. I'm using Saber, and on the actual internal bit, I'm using a video of some flames that I've kind of placed onto the NFT itself. If I bring in, I'll show you the NFT. So with this, I actually made a few frames. So you can see here that I've got, I'm using element again here for this. Hopefully this doesn't crash. Am I still live? So with the card itself, I used Illustrator to make the card. If I move over this, you can see I'm using something called Element 3D, and in this space I can make 3D objects. So the card itself is 3D under its own rotation. In this, I can just essentially create objects, you know, and apply textures to them. I can either rotate via use of the camera, or I can rotate via use of the world itself. So you can see that I've got different effects which I can just throw onto it. Environmental backgrounds, and I'll throw a few physical. Here we go, some gold. So you can see I've just thrown a gold texture on there now, and then that itself, once it's in there, can become part of the animation. So you can create all different types of objects. You can bring in object files as well. Essentially, when I like make coins and things like that, you can just bring in a cylinder model and rotate that in free space, and you know, bring that to kind of bring the height down on that, and then make a create a donut, and the donut itself can be the outer part of the coin, like things like this. This is something which you can kind of throw together quite quickly, and then the yeah, you could just change some of the kind of see now you got like the vertices as well, and with the bevel itself, you got the amount of lines you've got as well, the quality. So if you're working with something that's small that you don't need to see the detail on, you can have less edges, and with less edges you can see on the outer side of this circle, you can see there's less lines that make up the circle. Polygons and count is lower. If I was to say use this, I can kind of bring the radius in. Sorry, the not the radius, the internal radius. There we go. If I was making a coin, I would do something like this, and then put in, you know, my logo, and then I could then rotate that coin. But yeah, I'm just gonna close that down. So for this, I used I've got some hidden stuff here. So I've got lots of things hidden. I used a 3D. Basically, I went to Illustrator and I just did an outline of the. If you go into the frame, you can actually find the file. I just literally drew this outline in custom layers, here we go. Auto trace shape layer 1. So if we go to auto trace shape layer 1, here we go. So this is the auto trace shape that I did. So this is the 3D object which I traced from my Illustrator file. So it's just essentially 2 rounded rectangles, one within the other. That gave me the ability to extrude that in. So it starts off like this, and then that gave me the ability to extrude that within Element 3D and create the card itself. So I hope that kind of explains it. Evershed is looking cooler than ever. I need to get my background just like that one. It's really easy. Go to Amazon. Go to 3D art wall panels on Amazon. That's what you need to do. So if you've got any questions over this is how we kind of got to the point of where we had the card, the rotation. So the rotation was very simple. The rotation itself is what is known as, like, if we go and show you. So if we show you on the diamond. So a different key intervals. I've actually got the world rotating. So for this, I didn't use the camera to rotate. I used the world. So the world is actually rotating, and I'm using the world rotation tool. And what that essentially did was it allowed me to, if I turn off that, you can see the final. So as it rotates like this, I think I did 45. Was it 30? No, 20 degrees. 20 degree rotation back to 0, back to -20, back to 0, back to 20 degrees. Over the space of 10 seconds, I did that 5 times over 10 seconds. So -20 degrees to a +20 degree rotation. Obviously stopping in the middle along the way. It wasn't, and obviously with that you can rotate it in the y-axis like I did in the y-axis, but you could also rotate it if you wanted to in the x-axis. And obviously that would mean that you're rotating different, on a different plane. With this itself actually was under 2, so that's why I can't rotate that part. Let me just bring the right one on. You can see that if I was to mess around with that, I would start rotating that plane. So I did that by 59. If I was to do the other one by 59 as well, it would also look kind of weird. But I could also do that one as well. And again, just rotate the world as opposed to rotating the camera. But you can, of course, rotate the camera. A lot of people would choose to do that, to be honest. So if I go to 59 on that, should, there we go, line up with the others. And you can see that it does. And if I take all these out of the way, there we go. There we go. Then we're left with a rotation on a completely different plane. So, and that's how you do it. And then if you're looking to kind of with this, you can essentially tell it to do rotation over time. So it'll continue to rotate on the on the Y plane. But if you switch the X axis, it will do. If you use the stopwatch tool, you can toggle the time on the stopwatch, and you can tell it to move over a period of time. So over a period of 10 seconds, you could set key intervals throughout those 10 seconds where you want it to move. So if you want it to move 3 degrees to the right, back to the center, 3 degrees to the left, back to the center, over across those 10 seconds, you could essentially have it moving over 2 planes. And actually, that's something which you saw the other day on the Mystery D app video that we kind of put on social media. You see that the Mystery D app logo is rotating on 2 different planes through space. So yeah, so that kind of speaks about that. LaserRise are on all 36 months. Yeah, all rising NFTs will see the LaserRise. That's correct. So yeah, when it comes to textures, let's quickly talk about textures. Let's go into. I know that you guys like the gold texture, so let's quickly look at the gold texture. So with this, we'll go into it and I'll show you how it kind of comes together. So if I open up the Object 3D, you can see that in this one we've got the background here. Right, so yeah, you can see we've got the texture for gold. This texture for gold was something that I think myself and Storm really liked. This texture. If I move this over, should in theory give me more space to show you guys what it looks like. There we go. There we go. So you got the gold texture, the gold foil, so coined gold texture on this. Now with this, with the gold texture itself, you go into it, you can see on the left hand side here that you open up certain grunge textures. The software takes these textures and applies them to the actual map, and you can use what is known as a bump map. A bump map is essentially, when you generate a bump map, you're essentially giving the software an idea of where the raised parts of the texture are and where the sunken parts of the texture are, and you can invert this, and essentially you can give it an amount that you want it to kind of identify. With this, I can increase or decrease the amount of the bump that I want, and you can see that the texture itself will start to change as I do that. If I set it at 0, I don't want the bump map to really make much of a difference. You can see that the texture completely goes. When I add more of the bump map to it, you can see that that the bump, you start to see the texture really kind of reacting with the light and giving it that sort of believable effect. Now, how do you create a bump map? Well, you can make a bump map with a lot of things. I've recently done one myself. I'll load it. I'll quickly show you in Photoshop. So this is a bump map of the Bitcoin. You can see here that the Bitcoin logo and the actual details on it have been converted into a texture bump map. What that does, the software then can start to identify the areas that it needs to raise. I used that's something similar to do the EverRise logo as a bump map. And with me, I could even do me. So if I take this and remove the lock on these layers, I can essentially do the same. So I can grab all of these layers, merge them down into one. Now, hopefully this doesn't fail on me, because it would be quite embarrassing if it does. I can basically go to 3D, filter, 3D, generate normal map. And what that will do now is that when I do that, it will generate a 3D bump map. And I should come up as a sphere. There we go. So this is the bump map that it's generated. And this is a discontinued thing on Photoshop, unfortunately. They are discontinuing this. And it seems to always bug out my Photoshop when I do this. But if I make this as a texture map, you can see that what you're left with is this. And of course, my Photoshop is not liking this whatsoever. So that's the bump map from that picture that you just saw a moment ago. And what that will do is if I put that into Element 3D, it would recognize that, and it will look like I was on a coin, essentially. I export that. See, I've got to be careful because I don't want to show you all of my files. So I've got to be careful what I do. So I would put that on a coin now for you guys, but I got to be careful what I share on the screen. So what I might do is I might quickly just switch to this and save it down. Because there's some things I don't want you to see. I don't want to get... the worst thing I could do is like load something up that I didn't mean to load up. And you'd be like, oh no. Yeah, so just give me a minute, guys, and I'll just exit this now. And I'll show you exactly how it would look. So if we go into okay, so we'll go back into this one. Let me just bring that file in as an example. The naughty pictures, yeah, all the naughty pictures that I don't want you to see. Absolutely. Hey, EverWojek, how's it going? Maverick. What's it going, guys? How's it going, guys? What are you up to? I've also moved away from my normal 7-Up. This is really bad, guys. This is really unhealthy. So, Fanta was on offer. I went to the supermarket earlier today and Fanta was on offer. So Fanta Fruit Twist is now my preferred cold beverage of choice whilst down in this shed. Right, cool. How are we doing for time? We good? Right. Let me just get this set up. Give me one moment, guys. I'll try and get this set up. Yeah, for some reason Photoshop really doesn't like you playing around with the 3D bump maps. They're like kind of discontinuing that. So you can use other software to do it. Am I in shorts? I'm in shorts, mate. I'm in shorts. Why? Does it look like I'm in... does it look like I'm in boxes? Sorry. My pasty legs. I told you guys. That's why I've got it light. That's why the light isn't so high in here. Because if it was, then, you know, it would be reflecting off everything. You'd just get a white glow back at you. But I've got a cold aircon in here now, so it's 20 degrees. Nice. Instead of being 30 degrees. Try and working in 13 degrees. It's not very pleasant, I can tell you that much. Right, so I brought in my... Here we go. I can share the screen now, I think. I think, yeah. So I brought in my bump map. So there it is in all its glory. So let's just go and demonstrate how a bump map would work for something like this. So we talked about the bump map that was used for the gold texture. So if I just quickly open up. I'm doing good, man. Maybe who wants to get one of these NFTs? So again, if we make we make something separate here, we create a cylinder. If you hold down shift, you can move it from a 45-degree angle, so you're not having to worry too much. But so in this one, we'll make the coin. We'll borrow from the gold texture, I think. We'll just borrow that lovely gold texture that's been used. So you got the lovely texture here. Now if I throw in my bump map, I wonder what would happen. Again, I'm just going to quickly just hide this. If this doesn't work, we'll cut to another screen, okay? If this doesn't work, it's all we got time for, kids. I never did this prior to the event. Like all the pros, they would do all this prior to doing a live stream. They would never do it. They would never try and wing it on the day. No way. All the good people would never do that. There we go. Haha! There we go. So, It's not as good as I would have thought it, but again, it gives you an idea of how the bump map works. It's not the most amazing. You can kind of see that how I'm sort of being molded onto the coin, as opposed to have just been like a. There's many ways you can do this, and this wouldn't necessarily be the right way I'd do it. But you can see how I would essentially become part of the coin, and that's how you create. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, if I spent more time, I reckon I could make it look a lot better than that. Oh, that's a bit better. That's a bit better. There you go. Who wants to buy one of these NFTs, guys? Let's have a look, see what else we've got here. Oh, that's cool. Like that. You see how it catches the light? The bump map? Again, this is how a coin would be made, right? Using these types of processes. It's not just the front, it's the back as well. Any questions? Feel free to ask if you've got any questions. You can kind of make me out in the right light. And this is why we talk about lighting, right, guys? We talk about how important lighting is. That's cool. That's cool lighting. We need those with the Rise logo. I've actually made some. I've made some with the Rise logo, actually. But if I was using if I was doing it with the Rise logo or did differently than this, I would make it completely different. This is more for a photo. If you're putting like a photograph on the actual coin itself, as opposed to something like a logo. Like a logo is easy because a logo is a vectored object. So you could just throw in the vectored object and essentially away you go. In fact, I can kind of show you how that would work very quickly. So if I was to go and find the Rise logo, which I'm sure I've got a Rise logo somewhere, I'll just do this. I'll do this really quickly. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's always the way when you're looking for it, you can't find it. Is it that one? I think it could be this one. Let me bring this one in. Yes. So cool. Okay. I can share with this now what I'm doing. So that, like, if you were using this, you'd just make this as a trace app. The Rise arrow itself. And then with that trace, you can kind of go into the NFT, or, you know, the whatever you're working with. You could go into that and you could just essentially extrude the logo straight onto the coin itself. So you're not having to worry about, you know, using bumps, like bump maps. You could just, you know, for example, I could just go straight to extrude a whole new thing. And then what I'll do with that is I'll give it a custom path, which would be, of course, I haven't added it to the layers. So if I go to custom text and masks, or custom layers. Yeah, so custom text and masks, I could go in here and I could throw in auto trace rise arrow, which is my layer 7. I could go into that and I can play with it there. A Rise coin floating around on Twitter. So here you go. This is how it would look when it came to. So if we went into this and we throw that to layer path 7, you can see that you can play with it here. Scale it down to the size you need it. Give it the gold material. Paste that on, and essentially we don't want to use my horrible we don't want to use that. So let's turn that off. Don't crash on me. There we go. Cool. So we can just go in here. We can take this. Scale. Need to scale that down. And essentially what you do is you layer that on top. So you can give it the position on the coin that you want it. You can give it the amount of extrusion you want. You can bevel it if you want to bevel it slightly. You know, expand the edges, which we don't want to do. So you can give it more of an extrusion. So the bevel size, you could give it more of a bevel. And then with this, again, I would probably not bring it out that much for a coin. Also, the actual environment is important for this. So so we can go in here and use the gold. We can use like a material like crumbled gold for the background, and say a dark gold for the logo, and you can see how it kind of fits together here. And then for the outside, you can make a donut. Who doesn't like a donut, right? And then you could essentially just grab that, because we all know that. Oh. You love donuts. TJ loves donuts. So with the donut, again, we're just going to make an outer bit for a coin. Bring the internal radius sort of out to there. We're going to reduce the amount of sides that we have on it. We'll give it a dark gold material. So you're kind of looking pretty old school now when it comes to the coin. Looks pretty weathered, pretty old. And you're working in 3D, so you know you can do it in multiple ways. You can do it by eye, or you could use it by use the actual tool itself to kind of see where you are when it comes to the angles. So you can see again, with these models, we're working in segments. So with the amount of sides. So earlier on I was saying about these looking like a video game from the 1990s, like maybe the early 2000s, where you've got like the jagged edges. You could just basically go in there and you can make it the amount of sides. So 3 sides, 4 sides for a square, all the way up to the amount of sides you need to make it look nice. So it's 90 odd sides there, so it looks pretty smooth now. And then again, that gives that coin its kind of, that crumbled gold looks pretty cool, guys. Not gonna lie. I mean, the silver would be, I think the silver should be the arrow. Silver for the arrow and silver for the outside. What do you guys reckon? And then there we go. Silver for the outside, and then a bronze for the actual back of the coin. We can change the environment a little bit to make it less harsh. You've got something that kind of looks like a coin now, and you can disable the environment a little bit there. And you can play around with the different textures to kind of get what you kind of want. But you can see how important different environments, you know, how the environments impact the way that the textures look with the light that comes onto them. You know, some environments look a lot cooler than other environments for the textures that you use. And that's why it took so long in some cases to find the right environment, you know, to make the Rise coin. You know, this is just silver with a plastic red background, you know, and that would sit on the environment there. Or you could just kind of go in there and make a rooftop environment. Ignore the side bits as well. I haven't finished them off. You kind of see how it works kind of from that. So yeah, we won't save that. Okay. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. Is there anything else that I've done with this that is kind of just a real quick whistle stop tour of how I kind of put them together, and when it came to how I rendered them via the master file. So this is essentially how they were put together. So I could pretty much go through every single one using the master file. So I could change the text on the front and the title just by changing 2 text fields, and I could change the entire catalog of animals by just going into one file and replacing the AI file that I made in Illustrator. So there we are. Thank you, Mick. I want donuts now. I don't even know why I've got headphones on. It's not like I'm talking to anyone. So I'm sat here with headphones sitting like pressing in against my head, and I'm not even talking to anyone other than you guys. A blue and orange, yeah, a blue and orange color scheme. You can add. So you can add like gradient. You could add like textures to surfaces, like for the rising. You can see that I've added an MP4 file to the actual surface of the 3D extrusion. You can do that again. You go into the textures and you can select basically the layer that you want to use. Thank you so much, TJ. Thank you everybody. For joining me on this one, and you know, in the future I'll show you some other things that I put together in After Effects. But yeah, really powerful. After Effects is fun. Element 3D is good, but if you want to start using something free, you can use Blender. Blender is also a really cool thing to use to kind of get you kind of a taste of 3D work. Blender is quite involved, but you can watch a few tutorials on YouTube and kind of get the basics down. I know that Jet, also known as Jason, he's put together some things in Blender also that he's shared on socials. So thank you so much. What? Oh, I'm not going to answer that, Vettel. I can't answer that, I'm afraid. I like all of them. I like all of them, so there we go. Next week, it's a surprise. We'll talk about something next week. And if you guys have got any suggestions you want to talk about, anything in the EverRise ecosystem, let me know in the comment section below the video, or just DM me, and I'll look towards putting it in a future episode. So thank you so much for everyone that's chilled out with me for the last hour. You guys have been awesome, and yeah, see you next time. Take it.